Wheel. Imagine life 5,000 years ago. People hold everything by hand or on primitive drags. Legend has it that the idea for the wheel came from observing rolling stones or logs. The first wheels were solid, carved from a single piece of wood. They were not used for carts, but for potter's wheels. Only later did someone figure out how to connect a wheel to an axle. This discovery turned the world upside down. Cargo could now be transported faster and lighter. Without the wheel, we would not have modern transportation and machinery. Electricity. Benjamin Franklin was a man of curiosity. One day he wondered, what is lightning? In 1752, Franklin took a kite, to which he attached a metal key, and launched it into a stormy sky. As the kite rose, the key began to spark. Franklin proved that lightning was electricity. However, the electrification of the world began later, when Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison began creating electrical networks and devices. From the first lightning strike to the light bulb, a journey of almost 2,000 years. Penicillin. In 1928, Alexander Fleming was busy researching bacteria. He left petri dishes of bacteria on a table and went away. When he returned, he noticed that a mold had grown on one cup, which had destroyed the bacteria around it. It was penicillium mold. Fleming realized, mold produces a substance that kills germs. Thus came penicillin, the first antibiotic which revolutionized medicine, saving millions of lives. Internet. In the 1960s, the US military wanted to create a communication system that would not depend on a single point and could work even in the event of war. This is how the ARPANET network came into being. Scientists began to link computers, and information began to be transmitted instantly. But the real internet didn't appear until the 1990s, when Tim Berners-Lee created the World Wide Web, WWW, allowing people to share data like never before. Writing. The first written language appeared in Sumer around 3200 BC. At that time, it was simple marks carved into clay tablets to record, for example, how much grain was harvested and to whom it was given. Over time, these marks evolved into whole systems of symbols that conveyed thoughts and stories. Writing made it possible to record history, knowledge, and inventions. It became a bridge between generations. Radioactivity. In 1898, Marie and Pierre Curie investigated minerals that emit energy. They discovered that uranium and thorium emitted invisible radiation. In their experiments, they isolated new elements, radium and polonium, named after Maria's homeland, Poland. Radioactivity paved the way for nuclear energy and medicine. Although the cost of research was high, Marie Curie died due to prolonged contact with radioactive substances.
Theory of relativity. Albert Einstein asked the question, what if you chase a beam of light? From this simple question, the theory of relativity was born. It showed that time and space depend on the speed of motion. The formula E equals mc squared proved that energy and mass are related. This idea changed physics, helped us understand the structure of the universe, and even led to the creation of atomic energy. Vaccines. Smallpox was a terrible disease that killed millions. In the 18th century, Edward Jenner noticed that milkmaids who had gotten cowpox did not get human smallpox. He decided to test his theory. He injected a boy with a small dose of cowpox and then tried to infect him with the real one. The boy didn't get sick. That's how the first vaccine came about. Jenner named it after a cow. Vaccine comes from the Latin word vacca, which means cow. P microscope. Zachary Jansen invented the first microscope in 1590. At first it looked like a toy, magnifying objects only 10 times. But later, microscopes became more powerful, allowing us to see cells, bacteria, and even viruses. Thanks to the microscope, we have learned how organisms work, which has helped us treat disease and explore life at the molecular level. Genetics. In the 19th century, the monk Gregor Mendel grew peas in the garden of a monastery. He noticed that certain traits were passed from parents to offspring. His experiments laid the foundations of genetics. And later, in 1953, Watson and Crick discovered the DNA double helix, the code of life. This was a revolution that opened the door to genetic engineering and medicine. Paper. Before paper, people wrote on stone, wood, silk, or papyrus. But all of these were inconvenient and expensive. In 105 AD, the Chinese inventor Kai Lun came up with the idea of mixing tree bark, old rags, and water. The resulting mass was turned into sheets of paper. This invention made knowledge accessible, changing the world. Copernicus. Until the 16th century, everyone thought that the Earth stood still, and the sun and stars revolved around it. But Copernicus, observing the sky, realized that everything is the opposite. The Earth revolves around the sun. This caused a storm of protest, because the Church considered his ideas blasphemy. However, Copernicus was right, and his work was the beginning of a new era in science.